Warner Brothers Discovery, and a lot of other big names. So as we try to gain the next big catalyst for the markets, let's get right to our floor show. Let's bring in Howard Capital Management CEO Vance Howard and Fitz-Gerald Group Principal Keith Fitz-Gerald. So Keith, first to you. Gosh, could pigs fly? And we've still got 6 rate cuts out there for the year.
Well, as you know, I've been harshly critical of the Fed and a lone wolf in the wilderness saying no way, no how. And in fact, we might get a hike. So the data like this lends credence to that argument. I might not be as nuts as everybody thinks.
Yeah, Vance, what'd you make of the PPI data this morning? Markets don't like it.
Yeah, well, markets didn't like it, but, we're still bullish. We still think we're going to have a good year. There's other data coming out that's sort of counteracting the PPI and the CPI numbers. So, it's kind of a wait-and-see game now. There's no doubt that we're going to have surprises throughout 2024. So having a surprise on the PPI, I don't think that should be a surprise.
Yeah, well, the thing is that PPI report, my prediction is this is going to make CPI for the month of February, for the month of March, a lot stickier because this is the producer prices that then filter out into the system. Keith, I want to go back to something. I just brought up Nvidia. We are going to get those earnings next week, and that is going to be, that's going to be the rumble of the week. What are you expecting from Nvidia? Because some people say that's a baseball game. We're only in the 3rd inning.
That's a tough call because, people, again, thought I was absolutely out to lunch when I said buy this thing when it was under the 200s. Here we are at 700. I think we're looking at $1,000 and or a split. What happens at earnings depends on how many games the short-term go-fast crowd wants to play. To me, as an investment, I say hold it. I say buy more, accumulate more, because AI is not going away.
Yeah, well, Vance, and you're fully invested 100% right now. When you have days like today or you get inflation reports like we've had this week, does that give you kind of that moment to think that maybe it might, you could trim a little bit off of the table?
No, not until the trend changes. The trend's still clearly up. It's still clearly powerful. There's a lot of buyers coming in. There's an amazing amount of cash on the sidelines that looks like it wants to be deployed. You've had 81% of companies have reported their earnings and are beating their estimates. So companies are making money. It's like I said, let's not have 1 or 2 data points, go jumping out of a window over 1 or 2 data points. Let's let this thing play out, because remember, you had housing starts were down 14%. That's a really large drop in housing starts. So there's other data that's counteracting PPI and CPI. So let's not get too negative. I'm optimistic and I'm bullish for 2024.
Were you bullish on housing starts and permits this morning, Vance? Because the numbers that I saw, I will say, I think in particular with permits, there's got to be, and starts too, but more was, I guess, starts was the weather effect. We had a really rough January as far as weather goes, so I can see those projects being delayed. At the same time, though, in this high interest rate environment, that's got to be on your mind, whether it's building or whether it's projects that may take a little time to get going because of interest rates.
Well, I think it's going to put pressure on housing. I do. It's going to put pressure on mortgage rates too. So this is another thing that we need to look at as far as as inflation is inflation starting to tame or starting to drop down a little bit. We believe that it is. Housing starts. I wasn't really looking at it. It wasn't on my radar this morning, but it popped up, and then you had PPI pop up. So I don't know. There's 2 different data points out there that we really need to pay attention to. Now, was this, like you said, a one-off because of weather, or is this going to be a trend? Well, let's see what happens over the next couple of months.
Yeah, Keith, you're also watching a lot of the story stocks out there. And Starbucks is one of the companies that's been on your radar right now, and Shake Shack. But you've got 2 different opinions on these companies. Tell me what you think.
Well, it's interesting. I'm watching Starbucks not because of Starbucks. I'm watching Starbucks because of the challenge that's being mounted by Uncle Ronnie and McDonald's. I think we've got something as customers go down market and they look to get away from expensive $10 water and look for maybe real coffee at a bargain basement price, which is going to be McDonald's sweet spot. So that to me is really, really exciting. And then I look at also some of the big names. The Nvidia rocked the world when it said we're going to invest in all these other AI stocks. So to me, I'm looking at that. I think it's appealing. But Shake Shack is another one. I think there could be a rug pull in order because the stock's getting ahead of itself.
Yeah, you said you've got the putskis on that one. That made me chuckle when I read your research note this morning. Vance, last word to you. But obviously, you're looking at different sectors. Is there a particular group you like right now?
I do. I like small caps going into 2024. I do like financials. Your last guest weren't too bullish on financials. But if we do get a drop in interest rates, you're going to see those 2 sectors benefit quite a bit going into 2024. So let's not be too negative on small caps or financials. It may be a time to start buying those.
It's the Texan in you that's so positive, Vance. That's got to be it.
Yeah. Well, that could be.
Vance Howard, a fellow Texan. Keith Fitz-Gerald, thank you both, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we've got some break.